said you can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song.
Welcome to Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged with your host, Brain Fitzpatrick. Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged is a snapshot of the day-to-day experiences of disabled individuals as they navigate the world around us. We wish to shed light and open your eyes on a new perspective of people with disabilities. And by going unplugged, we can discuss viewpoints we hope will challenge our viewers' points of view. Most of us have disabilities we must live with, but what defines us is the way we deal with them. And now, here's your host, Brain Fitzpatrick.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Brain Fitzpatrick, bringing you an episode of Wheeling the Pathways of Life. Today's show is going to be, a lot of people ask me, how can you be like you are and be so positive and be so upbeat about it? You could be very angry and very angry and very down in the dumps about it. And today we're going to talk about having the reason why and how I deal with it and how other people can come to that realization if they want to. What it means and what it takes. And to help us with that, we've got Pastor Aaron Cable here, my pastor from New Life Community Fellowship. Good afternoon, Pastor.
Hi, man. Thanks for having me on, Brian. Glad to be here. Glad to be with everyone else.
You want to, you say that now. You say that now. Wait till the hour's over.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
No, but I mean, for those people that don't remember, Pastor Aaron, within the last, how long has it been?
When I took over?
Yep.
Late October 22nd. So it's been a little over 3 months.
Pastor Jeff went to a church in South Carolina. He took over pastoring over there.
Yep.
So, Pastor Aaron started out as a associate pastor and has since took over as the main pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And so today I just wanted to run, if anybody has any reason to not have any, believe me, at the beginning, I didn't have much faith in Jesus and what Jesus meant and all that. But it took me going into a nursing home for 2.5 years to find and people coming in from men's ministries and stuff like that throughout different churches. And Pastor Jeff came in and Bob came in and Dan Kelly came in. And one of those typical things, me being in the hallway saying, who are these people messing around the hallway, you know? I was like, and they got talking to me and they're like, you wanna pray with me? And it's like, yeah, sure, I'll pray with you, thinking, okay, this is a joke and a half.
Yeah, you're just trying to get them out of there, kind of a thing. Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, I'll pray with you and see what, you know. I didn't expect anything to happen.
Yeah.
And it really didn't happen till the next day, because when you pray and when you it took me a little while to really realize, as I was laying there in bed, waiting for someone to get me out of bed, I was like, God, will you bring somebody in to get me out of bed?
Yeah.
And less than 30 seconds later, somebody was there getting me out of bed. You know, some people could say that was a coincidence, but as people who believe there is no such thing as coincidences, as far as, you know, things happen for a reason. And why I'm here today is for a reason too. So everything we do, we may not know it right away, but there's a reason for everything we do. And, you know, sometimes we don't pay attention to what the reason should be, but ultimately there's a reason for everything. And one of the things that I wanted to say, we do a real good job at New Life. Is anybody with a disability, we don't treat them like they have a disability at all.
That's true. That's very true.
If you can put up with me, you can put up with anybody. Almost running you over a couple times.
All the time.
In the hallway and stuff like that.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Brian almost runs over someone every week in church. So. We got to clear him out of the hallways and everything.
Unintentionally. Unintentionally.
He's taking out rows of chairs here and there as well. So.
Unintentionally.
I don't know, Brian. I don't know. Sometimes you come at me with a full head of steam sometimes. I don't know.
That's why I sit with one of the members of the security team.
Yeah, they keep you in check. That's exactly it. Yeah, we have our eyes on you at all times, Brian.
Yeah. With you know I have my eyes on you.
Yeah.
But what I want people to know is, yes, everybody hears the church, and everybody hears church, and you know, going to church, having to be there at a certain time, and having somebody sit there and tell you you're wrong and all that. But we can tell you you're wrong, but we tell you in a way that is very personable and very understanding. Of we all make mistakes and we all have struggles. It's meeting people where they are and guiding them through what God's intention for them is. it's not like we're gonna say, you're in the church, you're not getting out of the building. You know, we're not like that. You can make a decision to not be in the church or whatever, but we will be upset, but we won't hold you against your will, whatever.
Yeah, which is a good thing. So.
Thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The goal of the church isn't. We never want to come right out and say the goal. Our main goal is to be like, hey, here's where you're wrong, and why. You know, I think it's important for the church, for people to know that what the church is for more than what the church is against. Our main goal is to be like, here's where you're wrong. Our main goal is to be like, hey, this is what God says. This is what His Word says. And where do you line up with that? And if we're all being honest, we're all short of that in some capacity. And my job is to communicate to people, hey, we're all in the same boat. Whether now it's how we are wrong is in different areas, in different ways, different degrees. But the reality is that all people are wrong in some capacity.
One thing that I gotta say, even though Pastor Aaron is a pastor and he is human and he makes mistakes just like everybody else.
Well, thanks for pointing that out.
He doesn't. No, a lot of people think he doesn't get tricked. No, a lot of people think pastors are higher than what they.
Nah, we're just humans.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the truth across the board. Is pastors? Yeah, there's a calling for a pastor. And there's obviously with that there is a level of expectations with how you live, certainly. You can't deny that, but at the end of the day, we're just as human and susceptible to doing wrong and to sinning as everyone else. I need the grace of God just as much as anyone else does.
Anybody has more accountability to the church.
Yeah.
It's the pastor.
Yeah, I have to, when it's all said and done and I'm standing before Jesus, I got to give an account to Him of how I led the church. I'm responsible for you guys, so it's a big responsibility. It's a lot.
Each person that in that church has a ministry and a calling of their own.
Yep.
Even if it's a janitor and even if it's the person making coffee.
Like Bob.
Yeah. We have some pretty decent coffee here at the church. We've been playing around with different coffees and different ways to make people more comfortable and
Yep. Yeah, that's what I think that's a role of the church is we try to create an atmosphere, create an environment to remove as many obstacles as possible from people hearing about God, hearing the good news of Jesus. That's our job. Everything we do in a service is meant to remove those distractions, to help people feel welcome, so that, life is crazy, life is hard. We know that, we experience that, and most people when they're coming into a church on a Sunday, they got stresses of finances, health struggles, family struggles, all these things on their mind. And so what we try to do is provide amenities and provide things for people where they can come in and maybe for just an hour, hour and a half, they don't have to be distracted by that, but we can have a service that's ready for them and prepared for them so they can hear about this God who loves them. That's our job.
About 2.5 hours because
you don't leave.
No,
so.
no, between services because we have a 9 a.m.
Yep.
and a
11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Yep.
The 11 a.m. is streamed live on Facebook, and it is weird here. And PCT.
Yep.
3:30 to 5 on Sunday afternoons. It's the league. It's a week behind. So what we did last Sunday will air this coming Sunday.
Week. Yep.
And a lot of people, Pastor Aaron, you can explain this a little bit. Is the church, I know the answer to this, but I want people to know the answer.
Okay.
Is the church just a place you go on Sunday, and is that just a place you go on Sunday, or is basically what I'm saying? Church is not a place you go on Sunday. We're a family. We get together during the week. We socialize with each other. We build each other up. We help each other out in the community and stuff like that. We also...
Well, so you answered your own question.
I know, but I mean, how, but still, a lot of people are saying,
Yes. No, I understand. I understand the question you're asking. There's a common misconception, and I wouldn't say misconception, just people grow up kind of knowing that, or thinking that, well, the church is that building, and you go to that building, and you do your thing in that building, and then you leave. And then what you do throughout the work week with your family is completely disconnected from what you just did in church. When the church, the word for church in the Greek is ecclesia. I mean, you probably know that just through Pastor Jeff, but is ecclesia, which means it's a gathering, right? And it's never about a building or a facility. It's the gathering of people. Like, that's the church. The church is people. The church isn't the building. So when we get together on a Sunday, yes, that's the one time a week, the big event, if you want to say, of the week, where the whole body gets together, right? The church gets together. And so, yes, the church is there. But then when we leave from there, all right, the building's not the church. It's the church is leaving, And so that's why it's not just something you go to. Church is something that you are a part of. It's a living organism that Scripture talks about.
And church should be a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
You should be a part of the church. It's a growing...
Well, you are part of the church. Biblically speaking, you're a member of the body.
But I mean, the church is in you too, as far as what you believe. I'm saying this wrong, aren't I?
Yeah, I would push back. So what we believe, it's rooted in Christ. It's rooted in Jesus. So the church isn't in us. Jesus is in us, and then we are the church.
Okay.
Communally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I know what I want to say, but sometimes it's...
Yeah, no, I knew what you were saying.
Yeah.
I just had to get the word in there. Right.
But, and it's sometimes it shows more during the week when you really get into your everyday kind of thing.
Yeah.
People contact you and say what's going on, and do you need help with this? Or I can call people and say, I don't have somebody to take care of me right now. Can you come over?
Right. Yeah, it's a church it's a community. It's not just it's not a business or an organization. We're a community. We're a family together. And so that's how we function. In Acts chapter 2, you see that. You see when the church is formed, how they cared for each other. They sold things to care for each other. They ate together regularly. They were with each other regularly, and that's what the church is meant to be. Obviously, cultural context, that changes how much that happens and stuff like that. Like, our church all of us didn't sell everything we have to support each other, you know, like we're not doing that right now, but we still, you know, we'll give to those who are in need, for those who are going through hard times. We'll come alongside them to be there for them.
Yeah.
We care for each other.
Yep.
And so that's what the church and the body of Christ is meant to do. It's not just a thing we attend. It's we are the church of Jesus.
This is gonna sound weird, and you'll understand. People will understand in a minute when I say it. Sometimes you feel closer to the church than you do your family on a regular basis, because sometimes families don't see eye to eye biblically, or you know. So, and we have so many different walks of life, so many different histories of where people are coming from. So, yes, we're all together in one aspect, but the interesting part is the different lifestyles all come together as one when it comes to this one particular, you know, when it comes to Jesus, everybody basically on the same page.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you just brought up is the way you see us today on camera right now. Maybe, I know, I didn't mean to scare you, but the way you see us sitting here today is 9 times out of 10 the way you see us on a Sunday. I mean, as far as what we wear.
This is what I preach in, yeah.
But down south, in areas like that, they have more of a, you know.
Well, I know, like Pastor Jeff preaches in a suit now.
I knew, kinda. It doesn't matter what you wear.
Right.
It matters what your heart is and what you want.
Yep.
What God wants you to give out there as a even if you don't have the message to give, God makes sure you got the message to give when you need the message at the time. So, and when we come back from my first PSA break, I'll get into one of the challenges I had not too long ago with having COVID and relying on Jesus to get through that. So we will be right back, folks.
Letter said that you were leaving, but you did not know how long. I will never stop believing that one day you will return. Though the waiting is the hardest part of everything I do confess it's getting better, knowing I will be with you. It's all right. It's okay. I won't worry about tomorrow, for it brings me one more day the question isn't will you, but what I want to know is when. But if it's one day or a million, I will wait for you till then. And so I'm holding on to your word and the promises you made. So there is not one you have broken. There's not one I didn't say. It's all right, it's okay. I won't worry about tomorrow, for it brings me one more day closer than I was. It's all right, it's okay. I won't worry about tomorrow, for it brings me one more day closer than I was to you. To you. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, oh. It's okay, just one more day.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Brian Fitzpatrick with another episode of Wheeling the Pathway to Life. When I was just on the, before I went to PSA, we were talking about what the church means to us and what its intention is, in our opinion. But what I'm going to tell you right now is some of the classic statement that I hear all the time. Jesus is only good when you're in trouble. And Jesus is, you only call out to Jesus when you're in trouble. And I will tell you right now, if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't be sitting in the chair I'm in right now. Because it put people in people's lives. They can make technology like this. He gave them the tools and the desire to make the technology to let people move around and be productive members of society.
Yep.
However, there are times when people, in the busyness of life, even in the healthcare field, now I won't tell you what I'm talking about, but you probably figured out by the time we get done. But in the busyness of taking care of people and the busyness of making sure everybody's okay, you kind of forget that you're there for the physical health and the mental health of an individual. Meaning, I was recently placed into a nursing home when I had COVID. And the isolation in of itself was bad enough. By having them say to me, we don't want to come in because we got kids. We don't want to be taking care of you because we have other people to consider. We take care of you. That's kind of, what I'm saying is, when you're in this field, it's kind of hard not to be taking care of people. And one of the things I'm saying is, when you really go into the healthcare field, you gotta go into it with the mindset, okay, I'm here to help people, and with safety in mind, of course, but you gotta it's gotta be a calling to what you gotta be sure that's what God wants you to do before you do it. Because you can't just willy-nilly say, okay, taking care of people makes me money, but you can't let the desire, okay, this is a job, kind of indicate, okay, this is a job to you, so I don't have to do as best I can. You understand where I'm going?
Kinda. I also understand the other part of it, because I mean there is the reality too. It's place to place depending on what the rules are with it. Like if the rule is like when you're hired and it's explained, all right, regardless of what they have, you have to help. Then yeah, it's in your contract. Like you have to do it. I know a lot of places though they do leave discretion up to the employee. Where if they feel like it would put them or their family in an unsafe position, that they have the right to not do that. In which case, it would be legal, right?
I understand all the rights and regulations, but I'm saying it's got to be a much deeper before you step into that place.
Understand that, like yes, if I was in that position, I'm here to care for people, but then if it's like, if this could potentially endanger my kids, then that's a factor. And I personally, I couldn't demonize someone for, and I wouldn't call into question their motives at that point. They probably love what they do and they're good at it, so I err on that side of caution with things.
Believe me, I'm not either.
Yeah.
I understand, but from the perspective of somebody laying in the bed, somebody's got to take care of you. So it's like, you know, I think the issue there is, your personality, some people can easily say, okay, this is a risk. We understand the risks, and God will protect us instead of, I mean.
You're also coming from a perspective too, where you're assuming that all of them know God and have that faith in Him. Where if someone doesn't, then they're not gonna, which is not a big population. They're not gonna have that mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't put that on someone who doesn't believe that sort of a thing. You get what I mean?
Basically what I'm doing here, I understand more than I'm letting on, but I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here to kind of get people to understand that the difficulty, it's also difficult for the staff, but it's difficult for people that need,
it's difficult for everyone.
need care and
Yeah.
you know, dealing with struggles and dealing with different.
Yeah, and I think, it's right you're acknowledging that it's difficult. I just think it's not as black and white of an issue of, well, this is what they have to do. Like, it's more gray, it's muddied. This whole thing's muddied. And so I think that's where it's like, yes, I understand what you're saying, where you feel, that both sides it's hard. You know, the disabled need care, but it's also, they have to keep their family in mind too. And so it's not as clean cut of like, this is the right way. And so, I think you can voice your struggle with it, but also be careful not to demonize and call out the healthcare workers as well for not doing their job or not doing it for the right reasons.
Like I said, it may have sounded that way, and I'm not intentionally.
I understand that. Yeah,
doing it
that's
now.
why I think we just be careful with how we say things. Yep.
But I was just doing it in a way that we could strike up the conversation, like, kind of lead off situation, because I mean, some people are good at it, some people aren't good at it, and that's always going to be the case, but it's a genuine heart for the job. It takes a genuine heart for some people to do the job. But everybody can do the job. It's just a matter of how I won't say dedicated, but I mean how, well, I'm digging myself in the hole.
Well, I'm just thinking of the perspective, say I was a healthcare worker and you had COVID, and I had a child at home who has asthma, where COVID could potentially kill them, you know. And if I had to make the decision, hey, take care of Brian, or potentially I could pass something on to my kid and die, I'm probably going the route of, hey, we can find someone else. Like, that's what I would do. You know, so I can get that argument.
But what I'm saying is, have that argument not in front of the, have the argument, that's fine, but still, in the end of the day, the person still needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's people who can, and absolutely, but like I said, I'm pointing out it's not black and white like that. It's a very gray and muddied area.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think that when people come up to me and they say, when people come up to me and stare at me for a minute in the chair and like, don't strike up a conversation, they have way different perspective than if they give me 2 minutes to open my mouth and realize I can have a conversation just like anybody else.
Oh, so are you talking about in the nursing home or just in general?
Just in general.
Oh, so we're on another thing. Okay. Gotcha.
Basically, in the nursing home too.
Yeah.
They are trained to not talk down to people, but
right. No, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Kind of scale the conversations to the level of what they're seeing at the moment, instead of
you have to watch how you talk.
Really getting to know the person and really understanding the person. One of the things I started to do as a part of my thing on Sundays, and I'm not disappearing on Sundays every time I do this, but I'm usually on the hallway either talking to people
Yep.
or just there to
Yes, you are.
kind of keep an eye on things. And 99% of the time, what I get is kids or somebody walking up to me and saying, what's this doing in the chair? Or what?
Yeah.
How come you're in the chair?
Yeah.
Those are some of the greatest conversations with kids than anybody can ever have.
I
Because
agree.
most of the parents, no fault of their own, but they're kind of tough. They kind of shy away because they don't want to offend or they don't want
Right.
the kids to say the wrong thing. I'm going to say this in an easy way. Once the parents are out of the way, and the kids can be kids sometimes.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, they'll just say whatever. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's, the whatever is what I want. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to give them a reason. If they see anybody else on the street or something, they don't freeze up and say, I'm afraid to go near that person or
Right.
whatever because they're in a chair.
Right.
Now, we were joking about me running people over. Sometimes the chair's a little harder to drive than the
It
other.
is.
But intentionally, I don't intentionally try to run over
Right.
people and make,
Except Jeff.
yeah. If we're going to down to South Carolina.
Yeah, right, exactly. You should do that then. That'd be the perfect timing to do that. That'd be hilarious.
But Pastor Aaron, he left us in good hands, and he left us in a good place.
He did.
You're amazing. You're taking the reins very well.
No, thank you.
Even when, and yes, I've heard about some of the business meetings we've had, and some of the rules you've had to put in place on those because.
Yeah. Business meetings aren't fun. They're interesting. So, yeah.
Those meetings could last 3 and 4 hours. If we
And
let
I
them.
do not want them to.
No.
I don't even want them to last an hour. I would like them to be half an hour. That would be my preference.
So you don't want me there at all?
Just the least talking there is, the better in my for business meetings. So
Okay.
in and out, man. In and
Business
out.
meetings for you wouldn't rather be emails.
Yeah, that would be true. Just here's what's happening. Here's what you give me your thoughts, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But see, that's the difference. See, that's the difference with us too, because we can have these discussions without, dealing with the fundamentals. That's something. As long as the fundamentals stay the same. It doesn't-
Yeah, of the faith, right? That's you mean the fundamentals of the faith?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what the, how many cups of coffee people have, or how many.
Yeah, and stuff like that. It's like that doesn't even need to be in a meeting, when it's like, what kind of coffee do we use? It's like that's. We can just make those decisions. Like whoever is over that, make the decision. That doesn't need to go to a vote or a conversation and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like the big budgets, annual budget, yes, that goes to a vote.
Like if
Pastor coming on, yes, that goes to vote. If you're selling a building or purchasing land, yes, like obviously those should go to a vote. But if it's like if we're voting on K-cups, it's like, no. It's like we're not voting on that.
if we want to buy a grill, which
Yeah, that's the thing where it's like, listen, people in charge of that ministry price one out, give us the quote, give me the quote. I'll look it over with the deacons, and then we'll propose that number. Like that's all we got to do. We don't need to have a discussion on what color, what type, or we don't need to vote on a committee. You know, it's like, we don't need to do that.
No.
But
But what I'm saying is even I can be a part of
yeah, you have a voice just as much as everyone else.
the discussions and
Yeah.
you know, I'm actually by default on the hospitality committee because
Yeah, you're with Nate and Christine.
I
Yep.
answer the door.
Yep.
I welcome people at the door.
Yes, you do.
Second Sunday of the month. So if anybody wants to come to church and
You'll be greeted by Brian on the second Sunday of the month.
see who's talking,
That's right.
see who the famous guy is on TV every week. That's another avenue you can go. One thing is certain though, you have to stay to listen to Pastor Aaron if you're gonna come and see me
Yeah.
at church. But
You get stuck with me speaking. That's
Yeah.
right.
one of the things that I wanted to mention real quick
Yeah.
is a couple weeks ago you had a pastor on.
Steve, right?
Steve.
Yep.
Pastors don't even have to necessarily have a church at the time.
Right.
And pastors can do their own ministry wherever they are.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, he runs
Or the gym.
the gym.
Yeah, so he was the pastor, because I pastored with him out in Norton, Mass. We worked together for 5 years. He was the senior pastor, I was the associate pastor, and so he's probably like my best friend. You know, we went to college together, we pastored together, served under him for years, even though we started that church. He was 25, I was 27, so he came on board as the senior pastor at 25 years old, and he was there up until about a year ago. So he was there for 7-8 years that he pastored at that church, and then left, went to North Shore. His goal is initially was to plant a church in Lowell. That was his plan, and then he's like, wait a minute, what if we were to start, him and his wife talk, what if we were to start a gym? And our goal is get in this area in Billerica, Mass, where his father-in-law is a pastor, because what's going to happen now is in 5 years, he's going to take over that church, and he'll be the senior pastor there. But in the meantime, they made a gym, and their goal at the gym is to get to know people in the community, show them hope through Jesus, and use that as a ramp to invite people to church, so that people can come to know Jesus just through that. And so that's their ministry right now, is they're serving in the church, but they're using the gym as a way to reach people and get them in the church.
Talk about an open door situation.
Yeah, basically. And so he's been he's been doing that. He's doing well.
This is a joke, when you're working out, you sometimes don't have a choice but listen to some.
Yeah.
Listen to a situation. But in that sense, even pastors can have a physical impact on your everyday life.
And they should. I think they should. I think what happens, unfortunately, is a lot of pastors get disconnected from their community, and they're in their office most of the week. And so next thing you know, they're not rubbing shoulders with people who don't know Jesus. They're just surrounded by their office and their staff and other Christians, which I think is an issue. I think a pastor should still have inlets in the community where they're rubbing shoulders with people who aren't in church, with regular people in the community. I think that's very important. That's why up until I hurt my knee, I play basketball at the YMCA, and I go there. I go to my gym and stuff like that I get to know people at. So those are all ways like I use to get to interact with other people, because unfortunately a lot of pastors don't and it's just their office and church people.
You get to interact with me.
That's right. Well, you're a church person, so but yes, I do. So, but I think it's important for pastors to be out in the community and looking for ways to reach people who aren't in the church. It shouldn't just be them focusing on people in the church. It should be them, just like everyone else, impacting people on the outside.
And one thing, things may change while you walk with Jesus, and you may decide to go to a different church or whatever. That is expected, and that is not expected, but as long as you things do happen, you can move.
Right. Absolutely.
Find a different church. We're not saying you have to stay within our church.
No. That's the thing. Churches don't own people. We don't own our members. It's not like we're making a covenant. It's like, you will be with us till you die. That's not it. It's we join. You're part of our family, but you're free to go whenever you want. If you're moving, if you feel God's calling you to another church, that's fine. Like, our churches, we're not in competition with each other. That's not how we operate. I truly see it as my desire is for everyone who comes through our doors is to find a church where they can get plugged into and grow in their faith in Jesus. If that's at our church, great. We're glad to have you here. If I can help, if it's not our church, but I can help you find another church to get planted in, great. I'll help, whatever is going to help you grow in your faith. That's my desire, and so that's what we want to do.
It's your ultimate decision, but we're hopefully a vessel for you to get where you need to be. Get where you need to be spiritually with Jesus Christ.
That's right.
And as my open says, as Psalm 24, verse 4 and 5, show me your path, O Lord, show me your ways.
Yeah.
Everybody has a path to it. Everybody has a path.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully the path is leading to Jesus Christ. No matter what pathway you're going down, as long as the end path is eventually to Jesus, that's where you want to be.
Yep.
Now people may say, we disagree with you about the Jesus thing and all that, but we're not these people that'll say, you gotta stay in the church for an hour, you gotta. Our church is wide open. We let people leave whenever they want to,
Yep.
You don't have to stay for the whole service if you don't want to.
Right.
But,
You're free to go.
But the fact of the matter is, by the time you get there, get settled, you're going to want to stay because you're going to enjoy what our goal is for you to enjoy what you're hearing, even if it's hard for you to hear. Even if it's not a pleasant situation, we try to make it as understanding and as easy to understand as we can.
Yeah. Yep, that's the thing. We, as Paul said in Corinthians, we try to become all things, all people. That's so that we may save some. We do everything that we can outside of sinning to reach people, provide an atmosphere where people can come to know Jesus. That's our job, that's our desire, that's our heart.
And we realize that not everybody's gonna be saved, but
yeah, people are gonna be. Ultimately, it's their own decision. Christianity is not a forced thing. God doesn't force decisions. He lets us make our own decisions, and so we trust that with Him. So it's not our job to determine, but it's our job to love. It's our job to serve, and it's our job to tell. And so that's what we do. We provide, our church is meant to provide a space where we can do that. And so for people to if they're searching, can find God, or if they're invited, they can find out with a God who loves them and came to give everything for them.
If people want to find out information about the church, go to newlifeberkshires.com.
That's right.
And if people want to contact me to find out more about the show, they can contact wheelingthepathwaytolife@gmail.com.
Yep.
And
if you like chili, this Friday, so tomorrow actually at 6 p.m., we're having a chili cook-off contest at our church. So it's free. It's free. Don't have to pay anything. You can just come to the church. It's at 172 Hubbard Ave in Pittsfield, Mass. And 6 p.m. free chili. You can come, taste it out, and vote for a winner.
6:30 to 8:30 or
6 to 8:30. Yep.
6 to 8:30.
Yep. So come on out to that if you want free chili.
And you don't have to be a member of the church.
You do not. Anyone. Open door. Anyone can come.
We do have. It's funny you should say that. We do have a sister church called Open Door.
Yep. Down in Lee. Pastor Jim.
Pastor Jim.
For now.
Oh,
He's
for
looking.
now.
Yeah. They're looking for someone else now too.
He's getting.
Yeah.
But Pastor Aaron,
Yeah.
I really appreciate
No,
the
thanks for having me, man.
opportunity, and believe it or not, this was a very timely show.
Mm.
Because of situations that kept going on in my life
Yeah. No, you had a lot going on. That's for sure.
over the past couple of days.
Yes.
My grandmother died and she was 95 years old.
Mm.
And she was a big influence in my life, and I will always remember her and keep her in my heart. And,
Yeah.
and again, to the family, we'll get through this together, and
Yeah.
we'll deal with it accordingly. But I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that even I, in planning the shows, have difficulties in getting stuff done in the middle of that situation was a little difficult. But we will persevere and be back next week.
That's right.
Have a good afternoon, folks. This has been Brian Fitzpatrick with Wheeling the Pathway to Life. See you all next week. Thank you.
Said you can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song.